Hey guys, so today we're going to keep looking at our objective of solving for missing sides and angles of an oblique triangle. And I have an example that we're going to get started with. If you look at the triangle given, we are given side A, side B, and side C. But notice in this example, we were given no angles, right? So we don't have an angle and a corresponding side. Therefore, we cannot use the law of sines, which we've previously learned. So this takes us to our new formula, right, which is called a law of cosine. So let's write this down in our notes. We have the law of cosines. Right, and the way that this works, it says that a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine of a. All right, and we have two other versions of it, and it's pretty much the same thing, guys. It's just solving for a different side. And so instead of a squared, we're going to have b squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine of angle. Right, and our last version that we have is c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine of angle c. All right, so now that we have our formulas, let's go ahead and see if we can solve for the missing angles of this triangle. All right, you'll notice we are given all three sides. All right, if I want to solve for angle A first, I'm going to use this top equation, because here's my angle A. So I'm going to plug it in. Right, A squared, side A is 5, so I'm going to have 5 squared equals. B squared is 8, so I have 8 squared. All right, plus C is 12, so I have 12 squared, minus 2 times 8 times 12 times cosine of angle A. And that's what I'm trying to solve for. So as you can see, I literally just replaced all of my side values with the A, B, and C. Okay. Now all I need to do is try to solve for A. So I can go ahead and start solving for these individually. I know 5 squared is 25. My pen working. There we go. 8 squared is 64. Plus 12 squared is 144. Minus, and then I can take 2 times 8, which is 16. And when I multiply that by 12, I do end up with 192 cosine of angle A. All right, so from here I can just, I'm just really going to keep going, right? I want to solve for cosine of A. I want to get A all by itself. So I can go ahead and add together that 144 plus 64, which is 208, minus 192 cosine of angle A. And that still equals 25. All right, so if I want to get that 192 cosine of A by itself, I can subtract over my 208. All right, and when I take 25 minus 208, I am going to end up with negative 183 equals, these simplify down to 0, so it equals negative 192 times cosine of A. Now at this point, I can divide out that 192, negative 192, to get cosine A by itself. Negative divided by negative makes it a positive, so I have 183 over 192 equals cosine of A. So we're almost done at this point. We've just got to get A by itself now. So remember, to get rid of cosine, we can take the inverse cosine of both sides. So I'm going to take my inverse cosine of 183 over 192, and that's going to leave me with my angle A. At this point, we can use our calculator. You're going to go into inverse cosine, type in 183 over 192, and when we do that, we should end up with 17.612 approximately. I'm going to round it to 3 decimal places. And there's our angle A. Now remember, to get that inverse cosine on your calculator, go to trig and make sure to use inverse cosine, not regular cosine. All right, so that's our first angle. We can go ahead and solve for our next angle as well. So I'm going to use law of cosines again, just so that we can keep practicing it. All right, but this time I'm going to solve for angle B. So I'm going to be using this second equation right here. I'm going to start off the exact same way. I'm going to plug in my values for A, B, and C. So B is 8. A is going to be our 5. We'll replace both of those A's with 5. And C is still 12. Nothing changed. I've just got to go ahead and plug it into my formula. 8 squared equals 5 squared plus 12 squared minus 2 times 5 times 12 times cosine of angle B. All right, so I'm going to continue solving this. 8 times 8 gives me 64. 5 times 5 is 25. 12 times 12 is 144. Minus, and 2 times 5 is 10. Times 12 is going to give me 120 cosine of B. I can add my 25 and 144 to get 169. And then to get that negative 120 cosine of B by itself, I'm going to go ahead and subtract 169 from both sides. And when I do that, I end up with negative 105 equals negative 120 cosine of angle B. All right, just like on the last example, using my algebra, I can go ahead and get rid of that negative 120 by dividing it out. Simplifies down, leaving me with 105 over 120 equals cosine of B. All right, now to get my B, to get the angle, I'm going to inverse cosine. Inverse cosine of 105 over 120 equals angle B. Now we'll go to our calculator. We'll use the trig button, go to inverse cosine, type in that 105 over 120, and we should end up with B equals 28.955 degrees. There we go. All right, and I'm going to let us take the easy way out to find our last angle. We have 2 angles of the triangle, so we can find angle C by simply adding up A and B and subtracting from 180. So I'm going to say C equals, and I'll take 180 minus 17.612 plus 28.955. And when I subtract this, I do end up with angle C equals 133.433 degrees. And there's my answer. So we're going to do one more example, but this time we're going to be given side angle side. So once again, you'll notice we have angle C, but we don't have side C. We don't have an angle and a corresponding side. So we're going to have to go ahead and use law of cosines for this one. Right? I'm going to identify the sides that I was given. I have side A, which is 10. I also have side B, which is 6. And I have angle C, which is 56 degrees. I want to solve for the triangle on this one, so that means I need to find angle A, angle B, and side C. So I can start off, because I'm given sides A, sides B, and angle C, I can start off using my third equation of law of cosines. C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine of angle C. Right, and I'm just going to plug in my variables. I don't have side C, that's what I'm going to solve for first. But I know A is 10, so I have 10 squared plus 60, or not 60, I'm sorry, 6 squared minus 2 times 10 times 6 times cosine of angle C, which is 56 degrees. So in this one, if you notice, is going to be a little bit easier for us, not so much algebra involved. Right? You can use your calculator and you can go ahead and solve for it. You're going to type in just the whole entire equation that you see, 10 squared plus 6 squared minus 2 times 10 times 6 times cosine of 56 degrees. And when you do that, plug it all in, calculate it all up, we should end up with 68.896 8969. All right, now be careful, that's not your answer. Look at your other two side lengths, right? 6 and 10. Do we think our missing side length is 68? Right, that is C squared. So to get side C, we still need to square root both sides. All right, now once we square root this, we will end up with our side length, which is approximately 8.3. Right, and there's our first part. There's side C. Now we can go ahead and solve for some of our other sides. You'll notice that because I have a side and its corresponding angle, we can actually use law of sines for this next one. All right, I need to solve for either angle A or angle B. I have angle C and side C, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to say sine of angle C over side C equals, and I'm going to go ahead and solve for angle A first. Sine of angle A over side of A. Not sure why it folded my A like that. Let's try this again. There we go. All right, I'm going to plug it in. Sine of 56 degrees. Did it again to me. Over 8.3, which is my side C, equals sine of angle A over side A, which I know is 10. To solve for sine of A, I'm going to multiply both sides by 10. And then to get A all by itself, to get rid of that sign, don't forget we need to inverse sine this whole thing. You can go to your calculator and let's solve for A. All right, when we hit trade, go to inverse sine, type in our whole equation. we should end up with